So what we're expecting, hopefully, to see, because the rumor mill around Apple, as we know, is pretty large, so we have a pretty clear idea, is we're expecting them to reveal a mobile payment system where you take your iPhone and you can pay by simply tapping it, or perhaps you take your new iWatch. It's going to use near-field communication technology. We know already that Apple has done big deals with all the big credit card companies and also with banks. Of course, this is something that the likes of Square, PayPal, Google Wallet have all tried before. Nobody yet, though, has been able to get that kind of critical mass to really make mobile payments stick and work.
Now, why would they do it different? What's so special? I mean, when Apple does it, they're just better?
No, a little bit of that. No, a lot of reasons why actually the timing might be perfect right now for Apple. First of all, they have iTunes. That means they have 800 million users, and they have their card info on file. The other reason is the technology.
Do you still use iTunes?
Yeah.
Do you?
iTunes?
Yeah,
but less and less. That's true.
I use it less. I mean, 5 years ago, I used iTunes all day, every day. Okay. And I use Spotify.
So there's 700. Take Stephanie out. It's still about 800 million. Then there's the timing of it. This is a time when retailers generally, because of all the security hacks, are in the midst of upgrading their payment system. So this is the time for them to get in there with their new technology. And then the technology itself, near-field communication, this ability that lets you tap to pay, tap to make a transaction, that is going to be standard in the new phones. Plus, remember the security feature. We can talk about that all you want. But the new iPhones have the Touch ID sensor, potentially making transactions more secure.
But how much money can they really make off of that? When they come out with a new iPhone, we all truck out that $600 or $800 for a new phone. How much are they really going to make off of
it's not about the money. They're not going to make a lot of money off mobile payments.
It's an Apple move, and it's not about the money?
It's about ecosystem.
Well,
it's about Apple being part of the fabric of people's lives.
Apple is forcing the card issuers, right, with whom it's partnering, to eat a little bit of the fee that they charge.
They could charge fees, but even if they do charge fees, some analysts I saw said $800 million a year, sums it up to $1.5 billion. But this is a company that generates $180 billion a year in sales, so it is just a drop in the bucket. It's about driving gadget sales because it's about creating an ecosystem and creating sort of a killer shopping experience.
So it's not directly about the money from this thing. It's about making another reason why you need to have their stuff.
Speaking of gadgets, right, we may get 2 iPhones tomorrow, a small screen and a large screen. Plus, we're going to get this mobile payments wallet and possibly something to replace this.
Yes,
right?
an iWatch. Now, of course, the applications could be much broader than just some sort of health application. But health application is what I looked into. If you look at the market for fitness wearables, we have seen already.
Like this. This is the Jawbone, right?
Exactly. The Jawbone and the Fitbit are the 2 most popular of these types of devices. That is quite a look. I like that. Maybe Apple will take everybody by surprise and announce that tomorrow.
For Fitbit. That's a real thing.
That is true.
Tory Burch for Fitbit.
Giselle Bundchen, biggest supermodel in the world, now getting in the fitness apparel game. That's true.
So, if you look at the existing market that we have seen, let's bring it back.
Bring it back.
You have 3 types. You have the type that Eric is talking about here that are called complex accessories. They don't do third-party apps. They do what they do. It's housed in the device. You have smart accessories like the Galaxy Gear Watch that do allow third-party apps, and they do require another device. And presumably that's what the iWatch is going to be. It'll have to sync with an iPhone or another device. And then you have smart wearables like the Google Glass. So those are sort of the different classes of these things. But in terms of how well they have done,
exercise more and eat less and end up with, sort of what you're looking for in all of these
if it was that simple, though, then everybody would do that.
Great point.
So they don't. So if you look at the adoption of these types of devices, it seems like it's really sort of diehard fitness people who have adopted it the most. But even people who get it, the adoption falls off very quickly. According to one study by Endeavor Partners, within 6 months of getting the thing, a lot of people aren't even using it anymore. And so that's a real problem. The problem is sort of also that, can it tell you what to do? In other words, you have your fitness tracker on, but if you haven't met your fitness goals, does it sort of help you achieve those goals?
Does that Siri voice come on and say, Eric, move it?
Yeah, exactly. So there are some sort of holes because it's very early in this market for these fitness trackers. There are some holes.
This is second generation. I guess Apple might be 3rd gen.
Well, and again, it's a different type of device. So one of the other problems that some of the analysts I spoke to pointed out is that a lot of the watches that are out there are sort of clunky. They're not very aesthetically pleasing. Apple, obviously known for its design, so you could have something that is more attractive.
Except in terms of phones, we're going clunkier. We're going bigger. It's sort of the reverse of the Zoolander, teeny, tiny. Every phone that's coming out seems like it's bigger and bigger.
Look at the piece of metal, though, that half the men on this planet like lug around on the wrist. They have choices, right? And yet they're not going for smaller.
They want
They're
bigger
going
and
for
bigger. Flavor Flav.
Well, and it's not just about, I mean, big and clunky don't have to necessarily go together. In other words, something can be big and still be elegant. So I think that is part of the issue
I would agree that
as well.
Jewelry can be chunky and elegant. One final thing, though, I do really want to say about the security. Obviously, we had the Apple hack in the news last week, so everybody's worried. Maybe you can't trust Apple with their technology. Remember, though, the cloud hack, they say it was not actually a hack of the system itself. The way I've been explaining it is sort of somebody put a disguise on, but they still did go through the front door. It wasn't like the Apple systems were actually breached. So keep that in mind.
The question is, does that matter? It was such a massive issue, everyone talking about it, people concerned about it, PR snafu. Does it matter what the truth is since the damage has been done?
People say that with Apple, they know that they accept that there's going to be a certain level of security breach. They put
Especially
user
if your password
experience
is A, B,
first.
C, D.
The Touch ID sensor is going. Yes, it's up to users to upgrade their own security. With the user touch, they know that yes, you can wipe a phone and get people's IDs, but they're willing to accept a little bit of level of insecurity for a better consumer experience.